African National Congress's National Youth Task Team, or NYTT, that was recently appointed by the party's executive committee, said that the League is now able to host their national elective conference in 2020 thanks to the ANC paying their debt. The ANC's Youth League has been placed under liquidation because it owed service providers millions of rands. The task team, however, did not want to specify the exact amount. The NYTT was appointed after the ANC Youth League under the then President, Collen Maine, was disbanded recently. Joining us now to discuss this further is the national spokesperson of the ANC, Pule Mabe. Good to see you, Pule. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning, and morning to your viewers.
So let's talk to what's actually happening at the moment. So we're seeing that they decided to financially save the ANC Youth League when it was disbanded a couple of months ago. What's happening there?
Well, thanks. The ANC Youth League, as you know, is established in terms of the Constitution of the African National Congress. Rule 7.4 of the ANC Constitution establishes the ANC Youth League, sets it out as an autonomous body, and yet an integral part of the African National Congress. It is in the interest of the ANC that the Youth League continues to operate, discharges its mandate, fulfills its responsibility to be a rallying point for young people in the country beyond the banner of the African National Congress. When you go to Rule 12 again of the same constitution, it does empower the ANC to supervise and oversee the work of its organs. This includes the ANC Youth League. So when there were issues of a financial nature that would have affected the continued existence and operation of the ANC Youth League, the ANC intervened through its National Executive Committee, went on to establish the National Youth Task Team. That's why it's called the NYTT, so that it could be able to oversee the work, establish all of the issues that would have hampered the continued operations of the League, but assist the League to be able to organize itself in the country and ultimately have a conference where the Youth League could be able to elect a leadership of its own.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at what was said yesterday, that reported that the Youth League owed millions to service providers, and that was the cause of its liquidation. How did it land up like that?
Well, running a political organization is not easy. You would remember that there were quite a number of things, I'm sure, that the Youth League could have had to account in its own report on what really transpired there. But organizing a big machinery like the ANC Youth League, which was also expected to run about over 53 regions, preside over 9 provinces, make sure that it has got a functional organization throughout the country, have an array of activities, call their National Executive Committee meetings when they are expected to, be able to deploy deployees who are members of the NEC of the Youth League to discharge various responsibilities on the ground when they are expected to. So the ANC is intervening in this way to make sure that ultimately the ANC Youth League could go out and elect a leadership of their own, a leadership that would be able to discharge that mandate, that would be able to restore the Youth League to its former glory, and make sure that it continues to assert its authority amongst the youth of the country.
Yeah. That in itself has been questionable for a few years, and a lot of people have been questioning the relevance of the ANC Youth League. But that aside, I'd like to talk finances, because this is an important point to bring up. Is it safe to say that with all of this happening, the Youth League is actually becoming a bit of a liability to the ANC? And I say this given that there's speculation that the ANC can't even afford this bailout.
Well, I wouldn't want to call it like that. It would be very difficult to use an accounting term like liability to refer to a political organization, because when the Youth League was formed in 1944, it was not formed at the back of accounting theories. It was formed to fulfill and discharge a political responsibility. At that time, it was to rally young people behind African nationalism. And later on, it became prudent that the Youth League has to play a role of rallying young people as well behind the banner of the African National Congress, and also making sure that it champions their own interest. And this is when the Youth League was now relaunched in the country, when it elected Peter Mokaba as president at the time. And the Youth League continued to exist as a vibrant organ that effectively deposited new radical ideas in the life of the African National Congress. It is expected that the kind of energy that we see coming on the ground, the kind of excitement that young people have been expressing. I mean, I was in Pretoria, I was in Tshwane a few days ago and went to an eatery there and found a notice board of the ANC Youth League inviting young people to a branch meeting. Yeah. And I realized that it means that there are young people out there who are still carrying great interest in this organization of Peter Mokaba.
So, but the question still remains, the debt of the ANC.
Yes, I mean, I'm actually going there.
How much is it, firstly? Let's get that figure from you. What are we looking at?
Well, ordinarily, Leanne, as you know, finances of whether it's the ANC or its own organs, even when they are delivered in meetings of the organization, they would be delivered in what is known as a closed meeting, in closed sessions. But the ANC Youth League is certainly not a liability to the ANC. All we need to be doing now is to make sure that we move the ANC Youth League in accounting terms to a level where it becomes bankable. It is able to discharge its own responsibilities, finance its own programs. It has got sufficient liquidity to continue operating as a going concern. Because ideologically, the Youth League is a going concern. So we just need to make sure that all of those things are done. Now you have got the convener and coordinator of the Youth League, Comrade Tandi and Comrade Besani. They have now brought in the National Youth Working Task Team of young men and women who are then expected to fulfill an array of responsibilities. They've also deployed those cadres that have been sent in by the ANC to assist to convene various provinces. Now, that is that is a step in the right direction, because it now means that out of that, they will then be able to then outline a roadmap. This roadmap would begin to detail at what point are they going to be running their own BGMs, and at what point are they going to be taking their own structures to conference. It is important that when the Youth League rises again, it is able to discharge its own responsibilities without hindrance.
All right. Unfortunately, Pule, I want to engage you so much more, but I can't due to time. But thanks for coming in and talking to us about what's going on with the finances of the ANC Youth League, but more importantly, saying that in 2020 it should be in a position to host their Youth League and elect a new leader. No? Yes?
Well, we are expecting that at that point the Youth League should be in what would be referred to as sound political health, so that it is sound political and financial health, so that it is able to go to its own conference, elect its own. I mean, most comrades who are in that NYTT are members of the National Executive Committee of the ANC. They wouldn't want to sit there for longer. I mean, one of the NYTT members was saying to me that remember that if we do not move with speed to take the Youth League to conference, it will remain with those of us that are part of the NYTT, and we do not want to be part of failure. So it is important that in 2020, with great speed, because once you have got the national structure in place, then they can decide what they do with the rest of the structures on the ground, so that the NEC of the ANC focuses on the NGC, which is expected to sit next year, and then young people lead the Youth League, because it is their Youth League. We'll want them to continue playing that role.
All right. Pule, we have to leave it there. Thanks very much for coming in. It's just gone 7 o'clock. A couple of minutes afterwards, we need to get into our other stories of the day, and this, of course, the big one, the long-awaited trial of